Well, good morning, everybody. We are starting our chapter 8. Yes, I know. You say, what's going on? We've jumped from chapter 1 to chapter 7 to chapter 8. Well, again, this is an algebra class in middle school, so you skipped all of pre-algebra. So we got to talk about these things that we keep using so that you finally know what they are, and they're called polynomials, guys. Notice, like, if you see some of our examples here, you're like, those look like expressions, Mr. C. They are. Well, a polynomial is an expression. It's a group of expressions that are tied together and have like a purpose together. And we have to be able to use them. They have specific names. There's ways that we classify them. And then there's operations that we do to them. So that's what we're going to be learning today. Okay, so as we first start to look at this, we have polynomials are made up of terms. Those are the individual pieces separated by addition and subtraction. In a term, you can have multiplication, powers, division. You're all good with that. But the separation is when each of those pieces are separated by addition or subtraction. You get these individual terms here, okay? And then we like to group each of these by a degree. And it's the degree we use has to do with the variables in each term. So if we're going to start off with, we need to formally define what a degree is, or at least like in a way of how we find it. So the degree is the sum of all the exponents on all the variables. In the term. I'll say it again. It's the sum of all the exponents on all the variables. Notice some of these here. This one only has one variable in this term. That's only got one. That's only have one. This term, this whole thing is a term. There's 3 variables. So we tackle each one in just that way. So that's how we find a degree. Okay, so as we look at this, we'll look at each term and we will determine the degree of each term. So we look at this first example and we say, okay, the variable. Here's the variable. There's only one. Well, what is the exponent? 3. So this first term has a degree of 3. Then we look at this term here, 2x. Well, as you look at this, one variable, and there's a little imaginary 1. This has a degree of 1. Look at the next one, only one variable, degree of 4. This one, degree of 3, and a degree of 1. What about this one? Again, look, there are 1, 2, 3 variables. This one has a hidden one. So again, we go back to our original definition. Degree is the sum of all the exponents on all the variables in the term. So we have a 3, a 4, and a 1. Sum means you have to add all of these together. So that's 7, 8. So this degree here is degree 8. As we see, each term has its own individual degree. And the largest is what we use to name it. So this entire thing here, so what is the degree of this polynomial? We look at each term and we say, okay, which term has the highest degree? So the degree of this polynomial is a degree 3. This degree is 4. This degree is 8. It's the largest degree in each one. And then we're going to use it. And we use that, and of course, how many terms there are to get its first and last name. So you're going to notice, depending on whether there's one degree of 1 or term of 1, I'm going to use both of these here. I'm going to draw a line down the middle, separate these. This is our little like cheat sheet. I'm going to add one over here too. We're going to have a bonus. What if we have a degree of 0? We've got to think about what would a degree of 0 be. degree 0. I'm going to come back to that because that's like a special case, okay? So when we have a degree of 1, we like to say, okay, so see, a degree of 1 is this. We have a special name for that, special name. When your degree is 1, we call it linear. Think about that. That's like, if we graph that, that's a straight line, is linear. When we have a degree of 2, oh, I didn't want that one there, but when we have a degree of 2, we call it quadratic. What's going on? Come on, text box. There we go. Quadratic. When we have a degree of 3, it too has a special name. It's called cubic. And here's where us math people get non-creative. Anything that's 4 or more, we call it 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree, and so on. Not really creative. Like, we got creative, came up with linear, quadratic, cubic, and then we just go on from there. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 100th, millionth degree. All right. And so then we also have to worry about like terms. So just like I have a proper first name, or maybe you have a proper first name, like John Smith, a first and a last name, the degree gives it its first name, and the last name is given by the number of terms that are in each piece. Okay, so notice this first one has 2 terms. This one here has 3 terms. This one here has 1 term. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We use prefixes to determine what these polynomial names are going to be, right? So as we take a look at this, so a 1 term is a monomial. Mono means 1. It's a prefix that means 1. If you have 2 terms, think of prefixes that mean 2 terms, like a bicycle. Bicycles have 2 tires. They're called bicycles because the bi part means 2. So my binomial. For 3, we have our special term. Yeah, that's right. You're thinking tricycle, trinomial, triceratops. All those mean 3, that prefix. And here we go for if we have 4 or more, doesn't matter how many extra terms are there afterwards, we just simply call it a polynomial. And that's because poly means more than 1. So if we had, for example, this first one, it has 3 is its largest degree. So when we look on the left side, when we're dealing with 3 for our little cheat sheet, it's cubic. But it only has 2 terms. So 2, the right side are terms. So it'll be a cubic binomial. These are, left side of the line is the degree, what we call it. Right side of the line is the number of terms. So linear, if it has a degree of 1, 1 term, monomial. degree. If it has degree of 2, it's quadratic. If it only has 2 terms, it's binomial. And then you use the pieces together to create their first and last names. Let's look at the special degree, though. What if I were to give you the number 5? Number 5. Well, the definition of a degree says it's the sum of all of the exponents on that variable. There are none. This is where we have a little bit of that hidden or that invisible math. We could represent 5 with a variable, right? Think about this. Remember that special rule? Remember there was a special rule that said when we raise anything to the power of 0, it equals 1. So this is like 5 times 1, which equals 5. So this is why when we have a constant has a degree of 0. And that is our special term. When we have something that has a degree of 0 or it's just a number, we call it a constant. Okay, so we have to be careful. That's the one that sometimes confuses students. So we just be careful with it. Now we're going to just practice. We have a couple of them here. We're going to practice because we're going to put their degree and the number of terms together in order to, classify them and give them proper names. Here's 3 for you to do. I want you to try these. So go ahead and pause the video and let me know what you think. All right, well, the first one, guys, I hope you had fun doing them. This is the degree of 1. So a degree of 1, if you look at our cheat sheet up above, degree of 1, we call linear. And it only has one term, so linear monomial. This one here, if we look at it, hopefully you have the same answer. Look, the biggest term is here. So this is a degree of 2. This is quadratic. It has 2 terms. So 2, we use that prefix with the bi, like bicycle. Binomial. Binomial. And then you get this last one here. The biggest term, look, you have, this is degree 3. This is a degree of 1. That's a degree of 0. So this is a cubic. Has 3 terms. Cubic trinomial. Can we put their degree and the number of terms? I made that space too big, so I had to merge together, back together. We put their terms in order to classify them, give them their proper names. Here, these were straightforward. Look, it was just linear 1, 1, 1, 1, or 2, 2. Degree of 3, 3 pieces. This one here, notice we have, again, the same thing, 4 pieces, 4 terms. It is at the highest degrees of 4. So this would be what? We look back up part of the thing, 4 more, so it's a 4th degree polynomial. Again, this is a 2nd degree binomial. This one here is what's a little weirder. Look at that. I have 1 term, but I have 2 variables. So if, remember, because there is what, a hidden 1 right here. Hidden 1. So this would be an 11th degree monomial. I'm just going to abbreviate that. This one here has what? 1, a degree of 1, but 2 terms. So this is a linear binomial. I'm going to just abbreviate it. Last part we've done, and maybe you've noticed in here, notice this, notice all the degrees. What do I have special going on with? And this is just me doing it because I'm just so used to doing it. But this has a reason why these are in order from the largest degree to the smallest degree. We have a special form, okay? When we put them in order from the largest degree to the smallest degree, it's called standard form. It is just an organizational tool that we're going to need for the second part of this video. And any of the operations we do with these, we like to make sure our degrees are placed in order. So that's what we have to do here. We have to say, okay, so what is the degree of this one? Well, we see it's a constant, and a constant has a degree of 0 because there is no variable. Its variable was raised to the power of 0, so it disappeared, went on vacation. This one has a degree of 2. Because it is the only variable there. This has a degree of 8. This has a degree of 5. So what we have to do is then put them all in order from the largest degree to the smallest degree. For x to the 8th power minus 6x to the 5th power. And then we have a plus x squared plus 3. And this has what? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pieces. Highest degree is 8. So this is like an 8th degree polynomial. I'll abbreviate it. This one you can see is not in order either. Look, this should be in the middle. The constant should be on the end because it has a 0. Degree of 2. Degree of 1. Degree of 0, and the highest degree is 2. That's quadratic. Three pieces is a trinomial. Last one. This one isn't in order either. Be careful. Remember when we move these, this negative sign has to move with it. So first degree, again, this is linear. Binomial. I'll abbreviate it. And that's it when it comes to these guys. We're making sure we're adding up all the exponents and all the variables. Remember, when there are more than one variable, you add them all up. Those all become part of the degree. Okay, and then we use a cheat sheet that it can very easily be written out on your paper or an index card to help you guide the path to how to name these. So anything that deals with 1, if the degree is 1, it's called linear. If it has 1 term, it's called a monomial. For 2, degree of 2 is quadratic, 2 terms, binomial. Degree of 3 is cubic. If it has 3 terms, it's trinomial. Anything more than 4 or more is 4th, 5th, 6th, and so on. For terms, anything more than 4 terms is just called a polynomial. And that's all you have here. The next video, because I will separate these two since this is a little long, is going to be learning how to add and subtract these together. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Get out there, do your homework.